For 3 centuries, the foundational premise of science was absolute materialism. The physical universe operated as a mechanical construct of separate bits of matter, where every event resulted from the blind, deterministic collisions of localized parts. Under this model, human beings were defined as conglomerations of these elemental atoms. We functioned as mechanical automatons, with every thought and action being the strictly determined consequence of a low-level mechanical process. This deterministic model erodes the rational basis for personal responsibility. If every action is fixed by a prior physical state over which we have no control, the foundations of moral philosophy inevitably collapse. This mechanical picture of reality provided immense practical utility. It lightened the load of tedious tasks and expanded our physical powers, fueling a massive increase in human creative energy. This same mastery over matter also granted us the capacity to ravage the environment and obliterate our species altogether. Classical science left humanity with a paradox. It provided the technological power of gods, but stripped us of the free will and moral framework needed to exercise that power. At the beginning of the 20th century, the materialist picture failed at its fundamental core. Subatomic data revealed that the classical rules could not account for the actual behavior of the world. In response, Heisenberg, Bohr, and their contemporaries developed the Copenhagen interpretation. This theory asserted that quantum mathematics describes our human knowledge of reality, rather than a self-sufficient physical world existing independently of all minds. Albert Einstein resisted this subjective turn until his death. He sought a complete description of an individual real situation that exists irrespective of any act of observation, yet he never succeeded in removing the observer's knowledge from the equations. In the early 1930s, John von Neumann moved beyond pragmatic interpretation toward a coherent ontology. He integrated the physical and mental aspects of nature into a single, mathematically precise system. Von Neumann's framework describes a universe built out of bits of information and conscious knowings. In this model, our basic theory of the physical world becomes intrinsically entwined with our streams of conscious experience. This shift scientifically reinstates causally efficacious free will. By making human choices an essential component of physical evolution, the new physics proves that our thoughts can influence the course of physical events. Since quantum principles dictate the structure of reality at its foundation, they can serve as a formal ontology for social interaction, replacing loose metaphors with mathematical rigor. The foundational principle is in-out duality, a boundary between an internal state and an external environment. The in is internal potential energy, like shared norms. The out is actualized kinetic energy, the observable events. Their relationship is S equals I plus O. Within this framework, social meaning is generated through the dynamic exchange between a group's hidden cultural potential and its visible kinetic output. The entanglement axiom provides the mathematical proof of social interconnectedness, contradicting the classical image of the human person as an isolated, mindless automaton. The entanglement equation shows the internal state of entity A is a product of entity B's external state, and vice versa. An influencer's internal preference influences the external purchase decisions of followers. Reciprocally, the follower's external feedback affects the influencer's future internal preferences. Fermionic social property herald. The bosonic social property is an outward inductive force. It facilitates sharing states across entities, creating massive cohesion in unified social fields and cultural movements. Fermions ensure individual diversity and structural complexity, while bosons provide the collective field that binds those individuals into a cohesive whole. The fundamental tension between individual identity and group conformity is mirrored by the quantum mechanics of subatomic particle statistics. By utilizing these axioms, we can map the propagation of complex social phenomena onto a formal wave equation. This wave equation tracks how a social field's energy moves through a population. The left side tracks how the field evolves across space and time, bounded by constants like light speed. The I/O ratio represents the balance of internal potential to external action. A society with a high I/O ratio Vast latent potential energy stored in its norms and history acts as a dense medium. This high internal potential modulates and slows the propagation of an incoming social wave. By integrating internal potential directly into the equation, we can calculate a society's specific resistance or sensitivity to external shocks and movements. Within this quantum ontology, meaning is generated at the moment of measurement, the instant a probability wave collapses into a definite action. Global political capital functions as a vast probability wave of shared aspirations and latent potential energy. An international treaty acts as a measurement apparatus. The act of signing forces that abstract potential to collapse into an observable kinetic reality. After a collapse, the system undergoes recoherence. It adapts to the new measurement, builds fresh potential energy, and restores its state of coherent harmony over time. History functions as a breathing cycle of cultural probability waves, periodically collapsing into the hard particles of specific events. In this framework, a participatory universe demands active observation to move from a state of latent potential into a hard, actualized reality. This framework identifies personal values as the specific potential energy variable, I, that guides the evolution of our systems and our reality. Science, which once stripped humanity of its significance, now provides the mathematical framework that demands our agency and choices. Embracing our deep entanglement with others is a mathematical requirement for our long-term survival.